Hey everyone, today we are going to be making Animal Crossing New Horizons cupcakes. Not only do these things taste amazing and look amazing, but they're pretty easy to make too. So we're going to start off with some green fondant, and that's going to be rolled out flat so that we can cut those Animal Crossing leaves that are so popular and so famous and synonymous with the Animal Crossing franchise. So when you're cutting these, you don't have to be perfect. As long as you get almost like a fish shape, it's going to turn out okay and it's going to look like a leaf. So I cut out quite a few of these. The recipe that I'm working with makes at least 24, so I wanted to do at least 26 just in case something happens and I can't use one or two of them. So after you do a couple of these, it'll actually get easier. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. You don't want the fondant to be too thick. I found out that some of mine was pretty thick and it was a lot harder to cut, and it also didn't look as good. So you also don't want it to be too thin. You want it to be just kind of like the perfect size. After you've done that, take any kind of round object. I'm just using a teaspoon measuring spoon, and I'm going to cut off a tiny little circular semicircle at the bottom. That's going to give it the traditional Animal Crossing look. Next thing I'm going to do is just make a regular yellow cake, and this is very easy to do because you just follow the directions on the back of the box. You don't have to do anything too special if you're not making your own, so I'm just using boxed cake mix, and it only requires a few ingredients and it's pretty easy to make. It also cooks a lot quicker when you're making cupcakes instead of a cake. I found that my mixture had a little bit left over, so I made a tiny cake as well, but that's kind of going to vary depending on the ingredients that you use. I like to add a little bit of vanilla extract and honey. I find that this keeps the inside a lot more moist and it gives it a better taste as well. So if you're wanting to try that, definitely recommend it because it does add to the flavor and the overall texture of the cupcake. Next thing you're going to do is just whisk it all together. You can either do this with a hand whisk or you can do it with a motorized whisk, whichever one works best for you, whichever one you have. You want to whisk until all of the ingredients are together and you can't see any of the individual ingredients. Next thing you're going to do is place your cupcake liners into your pan. If you don't have a cupcake pan, that's okay. You can still use cupcake liners. And you want to fill each liner about halfway. That way it doesn't overflow or overspill whenever it's done baking. See, they turned out perfect. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some cream inside of the cupcakes. You can do this or not, it's an additional step. I like to make my own whipped cream, so once you've got that, all you have to do is put it in a piping bag and pipe it into the centers, or just make a little hole in each one and put it into the centers. Again, this step is optional, but I find that it adds to the flavor. Then we're going to take our cream cheese icing. You can use any kind of icing, but I wanted to do cream cheese because it will also help with the overall look that I'm going for. So I'm going to put it into my piping bag, and then we're going to get started adding it to the top of each cupcake. I recommend letting the cupcakes cool before adding the icing because once you add the icing, if the cupcake is warm, it's just going to slide off and melt. So make sure your cupcakes are cool before you add the icing. I just used a circular pattern, although you can use whatever kind of method you want to get this icing onto the cupcake. Now we're going to crush some Nilla Wafers, and this is going to give kind of an extra decorative finish to the cupcake, as well as refer back to the sand and the beach theme with Animal Crossing New Horizons. So you just need a little bit on each one. And now we're going to add our Animal Crossing New Horizons leaf fondant. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now we're almost there to our last final steps. Next thing we're going to do is add some Konpeito, and this is a Japanese sugar candy. It's really reminiscent of the stars that fall to the beach on Animal Crossing New Horizons, the star fragments. In fact, they were modeled after Konpeito candy, so it's perfect. And I'm going to put a link in the description where you can get all of these extra ingredients because Konpeito is one of the things that I can't seem to find at my grocery stores. I'm also going to add chocolate pearls, and these can be found in most decorating sections at Walmart, any kind of grocery store, and then top it off with some cocktail umbrellas because it finishes up our Animal Crossing New Horizons beach theme. And you're done. Not only do they look great, but they taste amazing too. This is sure to be a hit with anyone who's familiar with Animal Crossing New Horizons. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.